Welcome to Binging with Badness, the only podcast where the rule is no homers. We're allowed to have one. My name is Mitchell McIntyre.
And I'm Vanessa Vogel.
And this movie made me cry.
Yeah.
This is...
Are we going to talk about the elephant in the room?
We are, but we'll get there. This is Furious 7, the seventh of the Fast and the Furious franchise. And I'm going to get this out of the way right now. This is the best movie of the series by far.
Is it?
I fully believe it was the movie I had the most fun with up until the end. And it was the movie I felt that finally had like an emotional core.
That's true.
That I gave a shit about. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But also they didn't swing a safe like it was a goddamn wrecking ball, so...
No, but they did do some other stuff.
That's true. They did do other stuff, which was pretty cool.
Which we will get to. Fun fact, this movie alone is the fourth highest grossing film of all time.
Of all times?
Of all time.
What are the other three that kicked its butt?
It goes...
Infinity War? No.
Yeah, it goes Endgame.
Okay.
Avatar, Titanic, Fast and Furious 7.
Oh.
This movie went over huge. Probably for a particular reason, which we have been kind of skirting around.
Yeah.
The last 7 episodes.
Yeah.
But we officially can't go on about it without talking about it any longer. This is the final film appearance of Paul Walker, who died in the middle of filming. Unfortunately, it was a car accident, and it was a very sad occurrence. He was a father. He was a husband. He was a very well-loved member of society. And he was taken from us way too soon.
In a deeply tragic way.
Coming from his own charity. He was coming from a gala from his own charity.
Who the heck was driving this thing?
It was a friend of his, who was also killed in the crash, unfortunately. So there is a sense of melancholy hanging over this film.
Yeah.
It's a little bit like if you've ever watched The Crow with Brandon Lee.
Oh, it's a very good movie.
Yeah, Brandon Lee, who was also killed during filming. Well, that movie is about somebody who died coming back to life and doing that all of it. So there's this macabre kind of aura about the film, and that's not the same here, but there is just a very sad kind of hinge on it, and I imagine that's why the film kind of chose the storyline it did. Basically, this film grapples a lot with Brian and his kind of like caught between this action hardcore lifestyle that he's lived for 7 sequels now, and the home life that he now has with Mia and Jack, his child. And we'll get to the end. I feel they did very well by his character.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, he did not live to finish the film. So his brother was a stand-in. Oh. And they digitally pasted his face over his brother's face. And I will say until the very end of the film, you can't tell.
That's true. Until that digital paste at the end.
Yeah.
Which, tragic or not, that was a very strange job they did.
It was the one time you could tell that's not Paul Walker.
Yeah.
But that is, unfortunate because that's where we are. So we're not gonna make jokes about it. We're not gonna, make light of a situation. I know it's an easy There are so many like really fucking like edgy, easy jokes to make, and I don't fucking feel comfortable with that.
So onwards and upwards.
Onwards and upwards. This film is in the memory of Paul Walker, and like I said, I feel this is the best of the series. I think he went out on one hell of a high note.
He did. He really did.
I had so much fun with this movie. For those of you who don't know, Furious 7, which is titled on screen as Fast and Furious 7, which I believe Furious 7 is a throwback to the Magnificent Seven, which is an old school Western. Mm-hmm. Great movie, by the way. Actually, the remake is pretty good, too. Directed by James Wan in his first ever appearance in this series. Justin Lin has finally released his iron grasp on this series. It is like I said, it's the 7th in the Fast and the Furious franchise. The film stars Vin Diesel, Paul Walker, Dwayne Johnson, Michelle Rodriguez, Tyrese Gibson, Chris Ludacris Bridges, Jordana Brewster, Kurt Russell, Jason Statham.
Who was Kurt Russell?
Kurt Russell was Mr. Nobody. Basically, in this particular film, remember Owen Shaw from last film? A, he's still alive. B, he's a vegetable, I believe. He's unconscious. He's crippled.
He is all sorts. Like half of him's burned up. He's on a ventilator. It's a whole thing. The man's basically just a breathing vegetable.
Yeah, and his brother, Deckard Shaw, played by Jason Statham, is pissed.
And if Owen Shaw can survive that, so could Gal Gadot.
You know what? You're 100% right. Death, much like the Dragon Ball series, death means nothing in this.
Well, it gives us a vengeance quest.
It does, but we've already had Letty survive. We've already had Owen Shaw survive. If I believe people are, the rumor is that Han survived, and we can kind of hear him in Hobbs and Shaw, which we will take a look at, not next week, but the week after.
Which I'm looking forward to. I like that movie.
Yeah.
Which means Gal Gadot's out there somewhere, guys.
I will make this bet right here and right now. If Gal Gadot is not here for the final movie, Fast 10,
yeah.
I don't know. I'll donate money to a charity that you guys pick. I didn't know where I was going with that. I was gonna say I'll eat my hat, but I actually want to do something. If Gal Gadot is not back by Fast 10, I'll be floored.
I mean, what is she gonna do? Wonder Woman 3? God knows that's gonna be a train wreck.
Mm-hmm. So, that is where we are. This is, like I said, this is the 4th highest grossing film of all time.
Whew.
This movie went over huge.
To the moon!
To the moon. But yeah, so we got ourselves a lot to talk about. Remember how I said last time I filled up the keep?
Yeah.
On the thing?
Uh-huh.
I did a keep and a half for this movie.
Oh.
Now, these movies are getting longer. This movie was about 2 hours, 10 minutes. Mm-hmm. Once again, a little too long. But not as bad as 6 was, I felt. Oh boy, there's a lot to get through. So, unless you have anything else to talk about before we get on?
No.
All right. Curtain up. Open to a skyline of London, England, as we get a Cockney British opening from Jason Statham playing Deckard Shaw, the older brother of last week's villain, Owen Shaw. The camera fades back to find he's talking to Owen, who for some fucking reason is still alive.
Kinda.
I was gonna say, I don't know if you guys remember what happened. We threw him out of a plane!
Yeah, and that plane was on fire.
And then, didn't we? He was in a car crash, and it launched him through the windshield?
Something like that, yeah.
Damn.
Well, he kind of looks like Two-Face right now, so...
He kind of does. They make him... They're built different in the UK. Deckard is basically giving his, villain monologue. And, Jason Statham's not a great actor, but he has a niche.
Which is, action guy.
Action guy, Cockney British accent. If you're doing, a British gangster film, that's your guy. Mm-hmm. And he pulls it off here.
Yeah.
That dude... He's evil because he's British.
Yes.
He gives off a villain monologue about how he's out to settle his brother's one last score. And we pull out and we see nurses cowering beside him. And he, like, stands in the middle of the doorway. This whole thing is done in one shot, by the way. He stands in the middle of the doorway and he goes, "If you don't take care of my brother, I'll come back and find you." And he walks out of the door and we swing back. And, like, everything's messed. Shit's on fire. The roof is caved in. People are dead.
Yeah, security's just littered the floor with dead.
Security's everywhere. There's just giant gaping holes in the place. He opens up the elevator. There's 2 dead guards. He goes down. The desk is on fire. Half the building is crumbled.
The lights are falling from the ceiling.
Yeah, he, like, takes a grenade and he just throws it at the reception desk.
Which was already on fire. Like,
yeah.
What were you doing, Deckard?
And he just, he cleans off his sunglasses and he walks out. This is the coolest opening we've ever had.
That's true. It is.
It was the one time where it was, like, effortlessly cool. That's a cool way to establish your bad guy. Turn around and, like, this is how we got here. Oh, shit.
Yeah. Your boy blew up a hospital.
Basically. We then cut to, and you guys are never going to believe this, cars driving. As Dom and Letty drive the credits in. So, if you remember last time, Letty is still alive.
How? Plot.
Yeah, how? Explosion-proof shield. But she has amnesia, because this is basically Days of Our Lives with macho guys in cars.
Uh-huh. Which means Gal Gadot's out there, guys!
So Dom is trying to jog Letty's memory back into place. She still doesn't remember much of anything. So they're driving somewhere, and Letty's like, "Where are we going?" And he goes, a long drive helps you think and reset the memory. And we drive to this place that looks oddly familiar here in the desert. We're at Race War. Remember that huge deal in the first movie that we were there for all of 10 minutes? Mm-hmm. And then, like, we left? Well, we're here for all of 10 minutes, and then we're going to leave.
Because Race Wars is only, like, 10 minutes long, I guess.
Yeah. So we pan up, and it's like, it's Race War. And he's like, "Oh my god, we come here?" And Dom goes, "Man, we invented it." Did you guys know that?
No, but I think somehow, I guess a bunch of Panasonic TVs paid for this.
Yeah, right? I thought it was just like a thing we all agreed to.
Yeah.
But apparently Dom and his crew invented Race War.
Sure. Okay.
Good to know. This deep...
Where did he get... I understand the answer is Panasonic TVs. But, like, where? How?
Remember, he's a multimillionaire now.
No, but in the beginning.
Yeah. I guess those TVs sell really well.
Panasonic's really patting their own back on that one, aren't they?
Apparently, the main draw for Race War is not the races, but wet, scantily clad women. Because in this montage, that's all you see.
Yeah.
It is exploitative.
Yeah, to say the least, yeah.
So, Dom sets Letty up with a race, with just some schmuck. Mm-hmm. And he gives her, like, some instructions, like, don't let the car go over 9,000 RPM, because this guy's about to do it, he's going to blow himself out. Mm-hmm. She's like, "Why? You know me. I'm always, pedal to the metal as fast as possible." And he's just like, "Shut up and do it."
Something, ride or die.
Yeah, he's like, "Oh, I'm ride or die. We got to go as hard as possible." It's like, just chill. So they do the race. Letty follows the advice, and she wins. Mm-hmm. She gets out of the car, and everybody's like, "Woo, Letty's back. What up, Letty? Hey, how you doing?" Some lady comes out, and she's like, "Oh, you're back. It's Ghost Girl." That lady is Iggy Azalea.
Yeah, what is she doing here? I mean, this is the only time we see her, but what is she doing here?
She has one line. Check it out, it's Ghost Girl. And she goes away. Also, she speaks... She's Australian.
Okay.
Yet she speaks like a Black American woman.
Look, there's a whole essay we can do about cultural appropriation.
And there has been.
Iggy Azalea.
I think there's a reason you don't see Iggy Azalea anymore, because she's not talented. But, like, I as I was listening to her, I've never heard her speak before.
Yeah.
I know she's Australian. You don't sound like that. Like, that's... I can understand picking up affectations because, like, maybe you grew up in that kind of
situation. Yeah.
But you didn't grow up in, like, Compton. You grew up in Australia. So, like...
Is Australia extremely white, like, as a whole?
Well, no. Because... like, the native people of Australia are black.
Are they?
Yeah.
Oh.
There's a whole issue with that whole thing.
Yeah, I figured.
But yeah, so, I mean, maybe... But I just... Every time I listen to her, I realize why I didn't like her. Anyway, so they all crowd around Letty, and they're like, Ghost Girl, she's back! What up, Letty? Woo! Yay! And in this chaos and din of noise and stuff, she has a flashback to the time she died.
Yeah.
Like, she just remembers the car flipping, and she remembers the fire, and the guy standing over her. And she has a panic attack, essentially. Mm-hmm. Somebody goes to, like, grab her from behind, like, put hands on her shoulder. She turns around and just hauls off and punches him in the face. Mm-hmm. And he's cool with that.
And everyone's like, oh, what the fuck? And then Dom's like, okay, bye!
Okay, we're leaving. And the guy's like, hey, Dom, Letty's still got a decent right hook on her, right? And he's just like, yeah, you never could take a punch.
Okay, so, like, is that not the first time Letty Hall turned around and
punched him?
Punched him?
Guess not.
Because if he knows that she has a decent right hook... How many times have you been punched in the face by Letty? Like, how many?
Yeah, is this a serious thing? Cut to a very serious-looking Brian. He's got his hands choked up on the steering wheel, revving the engine. His eyes are dialed in, narrowed. He flicks the shifter on his car, steps on the gas pedal, and drives about a foot forward because he's dropping his young son Jack off at school. And he's like, all right, we're here. And then he can't figure out, he's in a minivan, and he can't figure out the button to open the door. And he's like, I'm sorry, I don't know what I'm really doing. I'm new at this. And the teacher picks Jack up and he goes, it's okay, you're going to get used to it. And Brian goes, yeah, that's what I'm afraid of. Back to Letty, who has driven to her grave site.
Yeah.
We buried somebody.
Or something.
And there is Letty's gravestone. And she comes up to him and she's like, you know, I used to think this was funny. Like, so I'm dead, but I'm right here. Haha. But the more I look at it, the more it's right. Letty, whoever she was, died that day. And now I'm all that's left. And Dom was like, don't worry, we'll figure it out. She goes, no, like, every time I look at you, I see, like, you have all these memories of me. And I see how disappointed you are that I don't remember them. And it crushes me. And Dom is like, we'll figure it out. Family, you know. And she's like, I can't keep doing this to you. I have to figure out who I am. And then she leaves. And I thought she would be away for most of the film.
No.
She is back in 20 minutes. Bye, Letty.
See you
in a bit.
She was just dramatically storming off. It's fine. Why did Dom have a sledgehammer? Was he gonna break?
He was gonna break the gravestone.
Okay, but like in front of her face, like what?
That was the thing, because it upset her. She was like, "I'm gonna do something I should have done way before." She's like, "What the hell are you doing?" It was supposed to be symbolic. You're alive. You're not this.
Thanks, Cody Rhodes.
Cut to Hobbs and Elena are bemoaning the fact that their last case was too easy. And they're just like, yeah, you know, it's you miss the hustle and bustle, don't you? And he goes, no, this is fine. It helps me practice my stamping technique.
And these are paper files in a very digital office, which means he printed them out, had a special stamp that said captured, and he's just doing it for fun.
Yeah.
Like, he's just here stamping pieces of paper for fucking fun.
Hobbs walks Elena out to her car and gives her a letter of recommendation, something that never comes back.
Yeah. I think it was just a reason to get Hobbs out of the building.
Pretty much. Sees her off. He goes back up into his office, and there is a Shaw-shaped shadow sitting at his desk. And he's like, what are you doing? And he goes, 1 minute. You can't 1 minute me. This is my... Hobbs...
Goddamn office.
Yeah. Hobbs still talks like an asshole. Quote, you just earned yourself a dance with the devil there, boy. You're under arrest. So Shaw is basically looking for the team that killed, that almost killed Owen.
And for some reason, Hobbs has a file labeled "Team that almost killed Owen,"
and he's trying to talk it off. And goes, "Eh, it wasn't no team, it was just me." And even Shaw is just like, "I don't believe that for a fucking second." So tippity tap, he gets the information on a USB stick, and then we have The Rock and Jason Statham fight each other.
Yeah.
And remember how I said in the last 2 movies, this series hates glass?
Oh, it really hates glass.
This is a glass office. Like, all the walls are glass. And, like Chris Jericho before he ballooned out to where he did, we're breaking the walls down.
And the tables and the chairs.
And the tables and the ladders and the chairs. So they have this fairly well done fist fight. Actually, all of the fight scenes in this movie are very good.
Yeah.
So we have ourselves a fight. At one point, The Rock hits him with a rock bottom.
Yeah, right through a glass table. And I'm just like, is this a wrestling match?
Hell yeah.
What is happening here?
And the camera actually follows them as they turn and drop. Mm-hmm. So you have this like cool little camera effect. That was nice. They do it twice in the same scene. That's not as nice. They kind of get into a kerfuffle. The Rock finds a gun under one of the desks and starts shooting at him. Elena shows back up, and she's like, "I heard there was a gunfight." And Shaw throws in a bomb.
Which kind of looks like a smoke alarm, which kind of threw me off for a second.
I thought it was the puck that they threw onto the cars that, like, locked up the wheels.
Oh.
I was like, oh, maybe it's an EMP, but that wouldn't stop a gun. No, it's a bomb.
Why is he throwing a goddamn smoke alarm? What is... Oh, it's a bomb.
Yeah. So Hobbs sees that, and it's like, that's gonna blow up Elena. And, like, as it explodes, he spears Elena out through the window of the office. They're probably 4 stories up.
Yeah, something like that.
So he turns, and he takes the brunt of the explosion, and then he takes the brunt of the fall onto the car. Now, you're gonna think I'm gonna say, and then he walked off without a scratch. No, he's fucked up for the entire film.
Not the entire film.
The majority of the film.
15 minutes of the film, he's okay, I think.
So...
Like, people commit suicide that way. Like, that's not...
Yeah. And like, here's what's weird, right? We see Dom later on in this film take way more damage and walk out completely okay.
Yeah. What?
So there you go. Meanwhile, at Dom's house, Brian is taking Jack to school one more time. And they get a package from Tokyo. And Dom's like, it must be Han just, like, sending me stuff. He's cool like that. Mm-hmm. Mia talks to Dom. And she's like, Brian is having a terrible time with this family life thing. Because what do you mean? Is he a bad father? Because no, he's a great father. It just, he's so used to the high pressure life of being a cop and then being an international thief and then a spy. It's like, it's really taking a toll on him. And he's like, oh, Brian will be okay. We'll figure it out. And he goes, no, you don't understand. I'm pregnant. Mia's pregnant with her second child.
Whoop.
And if I tell him, I'm afraid he's going to be disappointed. Because, like, right now, we can still kind of go out and we only got one kid. When stuff comes up like it did last time, we can still kind of go out and fix it. With this, there's no way in hell.
That's true. Someone has to watch 2 kids? My God.
Yeah. I just don't want him to be disappointed. Anyway, Dom gets a phone call. And it's the end of the last film. It is Deckard Shaw.
The middle part of 3.
Of 3, yeah. Deckard Shaw calls. And he's like, Dominic Toretto, you don't know me. But you're about to. Han dies. And then that box they got from Tokyo explodes and blows up Dom's whole ass house.
This son of a bitch not only made us watch Han die for like the 3rd fucking time, but also blew up our house. Which isn't to say that we don't have like 3 other houses in Spain, but
yeah,
still.
Okay, but still, that's the house.
That's the house. What the hell, man?
Also, I find it funny that the bomb was outside, yet the explosion emanated from the inside.
I don't look.
Shh. Yeah. So blows up the whole house. It knocks Brian into the car. The kid is inside the car. The kid is safe.
Yeah, like the last thing Brian did before the explosion went off is like he shuts the car door.
Yeah. So the kid is safe, but it's rough. Mia's freaking out. They check on Jack, and Dominic just stands there like a goober, but like he's got his mad face on.
So he's a mad goober?
He's a mad goober. Vin Diesel is the mad goober.
Just him staring into the camera, disgruntled for like 90 minutes.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Hobbs is broken. And when he regained consciousness, the only thing he asked for was Dominic Toretto. So Dom goes in to see his buddy, I guess. Mm-hmm. And he's like, hey. He's watching the Hulk on TV, like the old school 70s Hulk, which is kind of funny because that's what we called him in 6. And he goes, you risked your life and limb to save the free world, and all I can give you is some Jell-O and a bad 70s TV show. Hobbs goes, it's not so bad. The sponge baths are pretty cool. And then we hear a little voice off to the side go, Dad. And Dom turns, and there's a little girl sitting there, probably about 8 years old.
Yeah.
And he goes, Dad? And he's like, yeah, this is my daughter. She is introduced in this movie for no reason.
Is that The Rock's actual daughter?
I don't think so, but we do see her again in Hobbs and Shaw.
I see. The reason why I was acting is like, if it was The Rock's actual daughter, he's just trying to buy her an acting credit.
Yeah, right? But like it's nice to have, so it like deepens him a little bit, but yeah. We see her one more time. At one point she goes, she's like, oh, who is this? And he goes, this is my old friend, Dominic Toretto. And she goes, hi, my dad told me he once kicked your ass. And he goes, your daddy's on a lot of pain meds.
But she looks him right in the face and be like, yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah.
Like, bonus points, kids. Bonus points.
Yeah. Your daddy's on a lot of heavy pain meds. Whenever we can give Vin a straight line comedy line like that, he usually does pretty well. Okay, so the rundown on who Deckard Shaw is. Former SAS Black Ops kind of guy. He is so good at his job that eventually the government realized he was too good at his job, and he also knew too much. And if he ever went rogue, they were doomed. So they tried to kill him, and shockingly, he went rogue. So,
yeah, we still can't find the bodies of the 20 guys we sent to kill him.
Yeah. So Hobbs is basically like, look, as an official member of the DSS, I am telling you to get off. This is not, I don't want you anywhere near this. And he goes, but now, as brother to brother, I want you to take him down. And when you do, promise me something. Don't miss. Which is kind of funny considering that The Rock and Vin Diesel do not like each other in real life.
Really?
Yeah. I talked about this a little bit ago. At one point, I think it's in 8, that they have a thing where they must receive the exact same amount of screen time, and neither one can get over on the other one during a fight.
Okay, so...
Like, it's really macho bullshit kind of stuff.
Why?
Ego, I guess.
Okay, but one's a nerd, and the other one's The Rock.
I wouldn't call Vin Diesel a nerd, like...
Okay, but, like, have you seen him play D&D?
I play D&D. Does that make me a nerd? Do not answer that. Does it? Don't answer that.
Yeah, but you have multiple characters. He has one character that he has committed to the bit on. And, like, he knows... Like, he's written an entire novel about this guy.
True.
And I've not played a lot of D&D comparatively. But usually you have a plethora of personas.
Give or take. And yet, this is his one. You can actually see him. He plays D&D, I want to say, with Matt Mercer.
That sounds right.
Doing The Last of the Witch Hunter. Like, he was promoting The Last Witch Hunter.
Oh, yeah.
And he does, like, a little 30-minute D&D thing.
Okay.
Apparently, it was super nice.
I'm just saying, like, what is with these two bald men?
Yeah. Yeah, right. It's just macho pandering bullshit.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
But I'm gonna be honest with you. If you have The Rock and you have Vin Diesel, pick The Rock.
Yeah. obviously.
Vin Diesel is a fine, upstanding gentleman, I'm sure. But The Rock is the most bankable star in the world right now.
Yeah.
If you have to placate one, placate The Rock. And I know what you're thinking. Oh, it's Fast and Furious. It's all about Vin Diesel. Yay, is it?
Well, you need Vin Diesel to pull a Fast and Furious movie. We tried to do it without him, and we had Fast and Furious 3.
That is a good point.
A movie so bad, we didn't bring back the main character. We brought back the guy who died.
That is true.
The guy who died like halfway through the movie.
We broke the timeline.
Yeah.
Just to bring Han back.
Yeah.
That's
and what did the main character get? He got like 2 lines in this
I was going to say, he gets a cameo here in a little bit. So Mia and Brian are held up in what is essentially a fortress mansion kind of thing.
Yeah, we know some dude in the Dominican Republic.
I was going to say, I was looking back, is this where those 2 guys live from 4 and 5 who I could never remember their names? And then they didn't come back in 6. It's like, is that where they're from? No, that's not them.
No.
Who the hell are these guys? Why do we have this place?
I don't know. Maybe this is where we stash our money. I don't know.
Anyway, it is locked up like Fort Knox. So Mia and Brian and Jack are safe. This was Dom's doing, basically. He set him up. Mm-hmm. Brian is in full FBI mode. He is going to find out who killed Han. He's going to find out who tried to kill them. He is all over this. He has all the technology in the world set up. He's got his own little base. And then Dom's like, have you told him you're pregnant yet? And she goes, no. Because if I do, he's not going to leave. And you guys need to figure out who tried to kill us. Because you're better when you work together. So Dom was like, all right, you're right. Here's what I'm going to do. I am going to go to Tokyo. And I'm going to bring Han back. You guys are going to figure out this Owen Shaw thing. Or Deckard Shaw thing. Mm-hmm. And we'll meet up later.
Because apparently, in that file that says people who murdered Owen Shaw, it only said, here's Han's info.
Yeah.
And here is his... And here is Vin Diesel's address. And that was it.
That's all we know. So Mia and Brian have a little talking to. And she's just like, look, we got to go figure out who did this to us. You and Dom are going to do this and you're going to do it well. But after that, you have to promise me this is the last one. Which, again, we did that last time, and the time before that, and then the time before that. But this is real, guys. This is the last one.
Yep.
So, meanwhile, in Tokyo, we see the end of Tokyo Drift. Sean Boswell is getting ready to race Dominic Toretto because this guy wanted to race the new DK.
It's straight up the footage. Like, the quality goes...
it's the scene.
The quality dips because it's the old footage.
Yeah.
And you're just like, oh, Jesus Christ.
We see that little scene. We don't see the race. But we do cut to Sean Boswell, now for some reason 10 years older. That's weird. Talking to Dominic Toretto. Sean Boswell is still not a very good actor.
No. Has he done anything in the 10 years between that movie?
Yeah, we looked this up. He was on NCIS, something like that, like NCIS New Orleans, or...
Oh.
He's doing well for himself, which is good.
I mean... Good for you.
Yeah, but that's a nice little throwback. I get it. That's cute.
Yeah, but we're just going to ignore the fact that he's no longer 17 and he's now 28.
He's now clearly a 30-year-old man.
Yeah.
He was old, too old for the role when the movie started, like when the movie came out.
That's true.
And now it's, that was movie 2003, 2004. Mm-hmm. And this movie came out in like 2015.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, we're just going to glance past that, and Dom's going to pretend like he really is still 17.
Yeah. So Sean basically says that Han never really talked about his past life. Mm-hmm. Something must have happened that hurt him. And he wanted to keep the 2 lives separate, but Sean gives over some of Han's old stuff, which we find a picture of Giselle and the cross necklace that keeps getting passed around from point to point.
For some reason.
For some reason. I thought Dom had that. Did Han take that at some point?
No. Shaw had it for some reason. And then he threw it on Han's corpse and blew it up.
Right.
And then
Did Owen steal it at some point?
He must have, right?
I missed this little trade-off because I don't know why.
Okay, we need to follow this like an Infinity Stone. Like, we have to...
Okay, it was in Loki's scepter.
Right? And then it was taken out for the Scarlet Witch. And then...
But anyway, it's the cross. We all know it. So while this goes on, we are at Han's funeral. I guess not while this is going on. After that, we're at Han's funeral. Mm-hmm. And it's the second in however many months it's been. Because they did Giselle's, I guess. We never saw it, but Roman and Tej and Brian, like, everybody's together. And Roman basically says, I'm so tired of going to funerals. Like, this is awful. And they said, we have to go get this guy. And Roman says, but promise me one more thing. No more funerals. Nobody dies. We can't keep this up. And Brian says, we got one more to go to. Deckard's. Dom sees that there's a car that's just kind of circling the funeral.
Well, he puts Giselle's picture on Han's
because
that way they're at least together a little bit.
Yeah. Dom does give a nice little speech.
Yeah.
His first of two rather nice speeches. And he puts Giselle's photo up. And then he sees this guy driving around, and he's like, I don't know who that is, but I know exactly who that is, and I'm going to kick his fucking ass. So he gets into his Charger, and he drives away, and we have a chase scene, but one that follows the rules of the road.
It was very weird. Yeah, just weird.
Yeah. Lo and behold, it's Deckard Shaw.
What? Hey, Deckard, what up, Jatham Statham?
So they kind of have this, like, face-off where it's kind of hard to explain.
It's chicken.
Yeah, they kind of, like, rev each other, and then they play chicken. And because both of them are macho idiots, they just fucking headline into each other. Head-on collision.
Yep.
Both of whom walk out completely okay. And, like, Dom gets out and Shaw gets out, and he goes, the car's reinforced and blah, blah, blah. That's kind of like going into boxing with weighted gloves. And Shaw's like, what, you think this was going to be a street fight? Like, we're not playing your game, man. This is life or death. And so they have this little, like, talk, and they're just like, you're not getting out of this alive. Goes, you're not getting out of this alive. And then gun. And Toretto, who is fucked at this point, he's just like, well. Then SEAL Team 6 comes down from the sky.
Yeah, because all he had was a sledgehammer.
Yeah. Just a whole
army
like, comes down.
And there's like dudes and fucking Humvees and
they start shooting and Deckard's just like, I've been here before, I'm out. And Dominic is dumb and he's like, I'm gonna fight all of them with my hands. And so he grabs the guy by the neck. A couple of cars pull up, and out of the car comes Kurt goddamn Russell
doing his best Timothy Hutton impersonation.
That is so right.
From Leverage.
Kurt Russell? What are you doing here?
Like I said, doing a Timothy Hutton impersonation. Is it not Nate from Leverage?
It's exactly what it is. So, once again, Kurt Russell comes out and he goes, hey, Dom, you might want to calm down, man. We're on the same side. And he goes, can you let my guy go? He's starting to turn a little bit purple. And he lets him go. He goes, listen. And then Dom's like, who are you? And he goes, technically, I don't exist. You can call me Mr. Nobody. There is a war going on between shadows and ghosts. Which is a cool kind of line. And he goes, here's the thing. I do not care about Deckard Shaw. But I know you do. I do care about this other thing. You help me with this other thing, I help you get Deckard Shaw. And he's like, cool, but what if I don't help you? Like, I can get him myself. And he goes, can you? Can you really? Come, listen to what I gotta say. He's got a weird thing about beer. I don't know.
Yeah, it's weird.
So here's the thing. There is an African warlord named, Jakande.
Sure.
And he's played by, and the reason I didn't announce him at the beginning is because I'm afraid of getting his name wrong.
I think you just have to spell it and then call him a nickname.
Jimon Honsou.
Sure.
Honsou. DJIMONHOUNSOU. So
We're sorry, buddy.
I'm so sorry. He's good in this role.
You're very good.
It's an African name, and I'm very white. I'm sorry, I haven't heard it pronounced. So anyway, Jakande is a Nigerian-born mercenary and a terrorist who leaves this private military company. And he wants this thing called God's Eye. Or he has this thing called God's Eye, created by a hacker named Ramsey. What God's Eye is the sonar system from The Dark Knight. Remember that?
Kinda, yeah.
It pings off your phone, it pings off all the microphones and cameras in the world, and it can track anybody everywhere. Or it's the thing from Eagle Eye. Remember the movie Eagle Eye?
No.
Shia LaBeouf?
Oh, vaguely.
Okay. So it's that kind of thing.
Finally, we took the right thing from Batman.
Yeah, right? So he says, like, you know how it took us 10 years to find Saddam Hussein? With this, we find him in 4 hours. Like, with this technology in the wrong hands, it's doomed, and I want it. So, if you can... It's all controlled by this person named Ramsey. Ramsey is a hacker. They can use it, but she knows how. They're going to kill her so nobody else can use it. You save her. Get the God's Eye. And then we'll be okay, and then you can get Deckard Shaw. And it, it works out for them. So we gather everybody around.
And I've took the liberty of getting your team.
Yeah.
Except for those two mooks whose names we keep forgetting. Santos and somebody else.
Santos and...
his friend.
Andrade Cien Almas.
We invited them to the party once. We gave them their money, and we've never seen them again.
They retired. They did what they were set out to do.
I mean, for all we know, they blew all their money on hookers and blow.
That is true. So here, we got to figure out a plan. They are going to transport Ramsey on a bus. And they are going to drive her from point A to point B. And so Dom's like, all right, here's the plan. Or nobody's like, here's the plan. And Roman, for some reason, is like, here's the thing, okay? When I started, you guys wanted me to, like, break into a police station. That's fine. I could do that. Then you wanted me to fight a tank. Then you wanted me to shoot down an airplane.
Which I did. Both times.
Which I did. I am so tired of things ramping up. How come I'm never in charge? How come it's never my plan? How come I'm always the pawn? And so Dom's like, all right, buddy, what's your plan? And he goes, well, I say we go in from here. And like a big army guy is just like, okay, that part is inaccessible by road. Now what are you going to do? And he goes, I have a plan. Tej? And Tej is like, you know what? I actually do have a plan.
Oh, no.
And he goes, that's called delegating. Good leaders do that.
I missed Roman. He's nice.
You know what? I really like the dichotomy between Roman and Tej.
It's pretty good.
So they're like, okay, I guess we're going to go with that. And then Mr. Nobody's like, great, we have a plan. You guys do your thing. You have full, unfettered access to whatever you want. By the way, your team is now complete. And in walks Letty. And Dom was just like, I thought you were gone or something. And Letty was like, fuck gone. I thought you were dead. I went to the house and it was blown up.
What in the seven hell? I storm off one time and you blow up the house?
So what the fuck did I miss? And so they're just like, hey, do you want to come with us on a mission? She's like, yes, obviously I do. But what?
What is happening right now?
What's with you guys? What's happening?
Side note, watch New Girl.
Yeah, we're watching New Girl right now. It's a solid show. I should have watched it when it was on TV. So the mission starts. Everybody's in their own car. Mm-hmm. And you don't really see much, but it's very dark. And so they're talking through each other with walkie-talkies. And Roman is having a rough day. For some reason, he's not having this. And they're just like, Roman's scared. He goes, I'm not scared. Just somebody go over the plan with me one more time. I want to make sure we all know what we're doing. And then a siren goes. And then a door opens. And then light comes in. And we're in the back of a cargo plane.
Yep.
We are several miles in the air.
Yep.
We are going to... Here's the fucking plan. Here's how you reach the inaccessible. You drive out of a plane.
Backwards.
Backward, and then you parachute your car down to the ground.
Just... What?
Tej,
this is the best you could come up with?
It worked. Spoiler alert.
Kinda.
It worked. I cannot imagine the size of the parachute you would need to slow down a car. And it's not like it kind of slows down and they land hard. No, it gently floats like paper. And then eventually they land and go.
Like, the suspension on that car would be fucked. Like...
So, turns out Roman's got a fear of skydiving. Brother, I get it.
Everyone else just backs out into the emptiness like, what up?
Yeah, Dom is obviously the first person to drop. And then everybody else goes, and they fall out, and they're like, yeah, let's do this, woo! And Roman doesn't go.
Yeah, because he wants to live.
I was going to say, because Roman's the only one with any goddamn sense. So Letty's like, all right, are we all good? Does everybody fall? And it's just like, yeah, I think, Roman, you good? And he goes, no, man, this is what we're going to do, okay? You guys are good. You don't need me. I'm going to stay up here with the pilot, and we're going to circle around, and that's going to work. He goes, all right, Tej, you know what to do. He goes, yeah, I planned for this. Tej hits a button. His parachute, it's not his only parachute, but a parachute, discharges and gets picked up by the wind and just hauls Roman out of the plane. Okay.
And so Roman is screaming all the way down. I mean, to his credit, I would be too.
Oh my God, you couldn't stop me. I was watching, and there's a couple of times during this movie. This is not the craziest thing in this movie. Somehow. If you have a fear of heights, you can't be a Fast and the Furious. You can't be Fast or Furious. So, everybody...
That's why Mia hangs out in the mansion.
Yeah, Mia's got nothing to do with any of this. She's got kids. She doesn't want to fuck with it.
Oh no, I guess I can't go.
Sorry, guys. Oh, well. So, somehow, through the grace of God, they all land kind of where they were supposed to land.
On the street, in a perfect line.
Yeah, all except for Roman, who is still just kind of like floating and twisting in the air.
And he's screaming like, oh no, not the trees!
Yeah, and you see Brian's just like, oh shit. And doesn't, like, I thought he was going to drive off to save him. No, they just let the poor boy twist.
They were just like, we'll come back for you, Roman. Then what was the point of making him come out of the cargo
Why
plane?
did I have to go at all?
Jesus.
So, away he goes. And we drive off. We find this bus. It's a big, almost like a tour bus.
Yeah.
And it's flanked on either side with about 6 cars. Some of those cars have machine guns, because that's the kind of movie we are now.
Yes, this is the movie.
Luckily, apparently, all of the cars are basically bulletproof.
Because we planned for this.
Or they shoot like stormtroopers. So as they drive, they do have a plan. They have a car called the Shield, which is driven by Tej. Mm-hmm. Tej's car legitimately is bulletproof. Like, it's not just movie bulletproof. That's what they planned for. Mm-hmm. It's big, and it's a Jeep, and it would be super heavy and very bad on gas, I imagine. So he drives up, and essentially they kind of line up behind him, and they use him as a shield. So they drive into the 2 machine gun cars, knocking them aside. But apparently, this bus is rigged for war. Because somebody hits a button on the inside, and machine guns come out of either side of the bus.
Okay, you guys seen a Greyhound bus? You know where they put the luggage? There's guns there now! Like, instead of luggage falling out, the thing comes up, instead of luggage, guns. All across both sides. And I'm just sitting there like, what, how? Okay, sure, okay.
Yeah.
I'll roll with this.
So guns, everybody's got guns. Everybody's got guns.
Everybody got guns.
It has one of my favorite moments, which is it opens up and the guns come out, and you see I think it's Roman, drive beside it, and he sees it, and he starts rolling up his window.
I think it was Tej, actually.
Was it Tej?
Yeah.
I thought Tej sees it and is just like, roll them up.
Let's point out the fact that his Humvee has manual windows for some
Yeah,
reason.
it's got a crank.
It's got a crank?
Because that's where you want to skimp out.
And the year of our Lord 20, goddamn, what year is it?
I believe
15?
it was 2015.
15? He has a crank window?
Oh, Lord. Dom and Letty drive behind the bus and hook up harpoon guns. Like, but they're, like, attached to the car.
Yeah, because we got fancy with it.
Yeah, kind of, so shout out to the first movie. I liked it.
Woo! Harpoons.
Yeah, remember when we had to do this by hand? So they shoot him in and they rip the back of the bus off.
Yeah. Bye, back of the bus.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the back panel is just gone.
Yeah. So Brian then gets on top of his car. And, like, the car is still driving fairly quickly. And I'm like, come on, guys. He can't drive and jump off of the thing. That's just not right. And then Tej takes the shield car and, like, drives into it. And, like, it pushes that car so Brian can jump. That was clever.
Yeah.
So Brian jumps into the back of the car. And then has himself a little fight where he just, like, monkey flips a guy outside and he hits the ground.
Yeah. And they all swerved to avoid not running his ass over. So,
Yeah.
I don't know how they did that, but, you know. Movie magic.
So he goes in and he finds Ramsey, played by Natalie Emanuel. And everybody's surprised.
Surprise, it's a hot chick.
It's a hot chick. And, like, even Brian goes, Ramsey? And she's like, for fuck's sake, get me out of here! He's like, gotcha.
She was kidnapped and hooded and fucking tied up. So she's had a rough night.
While all this is going on, a mystery car shows up.
Oh boy.
Mr. Nobody is kind of like overseeing this, and he's like, we got a mystery vehicle, unidentified vehicle shows up. No cookie for figuring out who it is.
But I want cookie.
Well, you can just have a cookie.
Okay.
But so Brian has to take Ramsey from the bus to the car. And his grand plan on how to save her is to have her jump onto the car like him.
Yeah, we didn't think about this part of the plan.
And
I guess we didn't think we'd get this far.
Yeah. And he's like, we have to jump. And Ramsey's like, are you nuts? No, I'm not going to jump. He goes, if you don't jump, we die. And he goes, I don't know. I can't do this. And he goes, it's okay. Follow me, right? 1, 2, and then he pushes her. And she lands on the hood of Dom's car. And then Deckard Shaw shows up. Mystery guy. Shocker, right? And then, like, just knocks into Dom, throwing Ramsey everywhere. She hangs on. God bless her.
She's doing the appropriate amount of screaming for the situation that she's in, by the way. Like, usually with, like, Letty or, like, if Brian was there, they're just, like, toughing it out. No, she's screaming her head off like a normal civilian
like a normal
would.
Man. a normal person. So while this is all going on, Brian is in the bus fighting Tony Jaa. Tony Jaa has a name. I didn't bother to learn it because that was Tony Jaa.
Yeah. Where do we know Tony Jaa from, Kitty?
Okay, so Tony Jaa is known for a movie series called Ong Bak.
Okay.
The Thai Warrior.
Okay.
You know The Raid? Yeah. It's that kind of fight. Like it's a martial arts film.
I see.
Uses a lot of Muay Thai. Uses that kind of thing, and it's that sort of movie where he just goes in and kicks ass for.
Is that why all he does is kick ass and say no lines?
Yeah. Plus his English isn't that great.
I mean, he only had one line, so it's fine.
Tony Jaa was like he did that for a little bit, and then he went to become a monk.
A real life monk?
A real life monk, 100%. You can look it up.
Holy shit.
And then I guess when he realized he wasn't allowed to kick anybody, he stopped and then went back to movies. Always fun to see Tony Jaa. And Paul Walker, I mean, I imagine it's a stunt double. Mm-hmm. But they hold their own.
Yeah.
Like, this is a...
Like, I can believe that Brian O'Connor, he was in the FBI, so he probably had...
some combat training.
Combat training.
Yeah.
But at this point, I'm like, okay, sure. dad bod didn't kick in. All right.
Yeah. True that.
I'm willing to roll with this. The reason why I bring this up is because these guys have turned into SEAL Team 6 at some point in history. And I don't know when, but I will point it out when it comes time.
Yeah, right? So, while all this goes on, Brian is fighting in the bus. So there's a lot of stuff to keep in my mind. Because like I said, with these movies, everybody needs to be in an action scene together.
That's true.
So there's so many different wheels to kind of keep spinning. Dom and crew go off-road to try to fuck with Deckard Shaw. Mm-hmm. Letty stays behind with Brian because eventually he's going to need a ride.
Yeah, we kind of totaled his ride.
So we get some guys with bazookas showing up, RPGs. So Brian actually takes Tony Jaa's head and slams it down on the button. And then those guys get shot. That was kind of neat.
That was real neat.
As Deckard, Dom, and Ramsey, they drive off the thing. And this is basically just us running through the forest and jumping off of huge fucking cliffs. Trying to shake Deckard Shaw.
Ramsey has made her way to the passenger seat.
Yeah, I should have mentioned that. You're right. So the bus tips over on its side eventually. The bus driver gets shot. The bus tips over. And both Brian and Tony Jaa realize they're going to crash. And so, like, they're on the ground, and they kind of look at each other and go, oh! And then they run towards the door. They fight. Tony Jaa gets the upper hand and locks the cage that it's kind of behind. Basically locking Brian into the bus. And he goes, too slow, and then he jumps out, and then he's safe. So Brian is like, cool, gonna die. Don't have a plan B. Shit. Luckily for him, it careens off of the cliff, but only so far as to be delicately balanced on it. So, like, Paul Walker is goddamn Nathan Drake. He crawls to the driver's seat, gets out of the door, and then, like, hand over hand climbs to get on top of the bus. But that shifts the weight so much that the bus falls off of the cliff. So as it's falling and sliding off, he's running on top of the bus and, like, jumps off at the last minute before the bus falls off of the cliff. And Letty drives up and, like, tail whips off the cliff a little bit to give him, like, a little extra space. And so he grabs on the back of Letty's car, and she drives forward, and then just Brian collapses onto the ground. And then Letty's like, oh my god, are you okay? He's like, yeah. Thank you. Meanwhile,
in the forest.
Yeah, we throw Deckard Shaw off a cliff. But not like a huge cliff, because he's still alive.
Yeah.
This happens a lot. So, like, he's crashed, and he's like, damn it, I have a plan B. So he gets out looking exactly like Bear Grylls, and he's got, like, a gun, and he's, like, putting together a sniper rifle as he's running. Somehow he makes that look cool. A bunch of other mooks are trying to kill Dominic, as you do.
We forgot to mention that, Roman came back and pushed Shaw off the cliff.
You're right, I'm very sorry.
We went into the forest where Roman lives.
Roman, yeah, because he was just like, I'm back, bitches!
And he pushes, because no one can predict Roman.
Yeah.
So, he's just like, I'm back, bitches! And Shaw's like, who?
Off he goes. And that's what crashed Deckard Shaw, you're right. So, Dom is getting chased. He finds his way back onto the road, but it's this big cliff face, like hundreds of feet a drop.
Yep.
So he drives and he's cornered. And eventually, like, he gets surrounded by these cars. And they're all, like, in perfect semicircle. It's a good job, everybody.
Yeah. Very well coordinated.
Yeah. So, who steps out but Jaconda? And he's like, okay, this is annoying. I didn't expect you. You're very good at your job. I appreciate it. Can I know your name? And he's like, no. That's okay. Here's what's going to happen. You give us Ramsey. Then you can live.
Give us the girl and wipe away the debt.
Yeah, he basically says, give us the girl and we'll wipe away the debt. And Dom says, well, fuck all that. And starts spinning in a donut. Meanwhile, Shaw is yonks away with a sniper rifle, and he's got it like trained onto Dom. And the dust kicks up, and so he can't see him. And all he knows is like, interesting. Well, that's me done. And so he goes away. So he kicks up this dust, and he's pointing off the cliff. This is not the only time in this movie this will happen.
That is true.
And he looks at Ramsey, and Ramsey's like, what are you doing? You're facing the wrong way. And he goes, you're going to want to put on a helmet for this. And apparently she has one. I don't know why.
Yeah, he had one under his seat.
Yeah.
So he thought he was going to do this from the start.
Yeah, this was plan A.
Oh, God, this was plan A.
And off they drive.
Off the cliff.
Drive off the cliff. They just drive off the cliff, plummeting hundreds of feet, presumably to their death. And even, like, Gioconda looks at that and goes, well, that's not my problem anymore. And then goes away.
Like, this wasn't a graceful fall, and then they land on the road at the
Yeah.
bottom. This was they hit every goddamn rock on the way down.
End over end. Absolutely.
Like, they should not have survived this crash.
They do say, like, when they put all this together, Dom wants, like, a combination of a big, like, armored car. The demon child between this and this. He wanted it fast, but he wanted it armored. That's kind of their explanation.
Mm-hmm.
Because at the end, Tej gets out and goes, well, looks like my demon baby worked.
Mm-hmm.
So according to Ramsey, she has the information they want. Well, she doesn't. She knows where it is, though. She sent it to a friend in Abu Dhabi to keep it for safekeeping. So we're going to the desert.
I like the little bit that she did before they were like, why didn't you just straight up tell us that? Like, well, people only stick together for fear and loyalty, and you got the loyalty thing going on.
Yeah,
so.
she does mention, why didn't, like, they would have tortured you for that information. Why did you give it us so easy? Because I trust you. And then he goes, why do you trust us? Mm-hmm. She goes, because people only stick around this closely either due to fear or respect. Mm-hmm. And I don't see an ounce of fear in you guys.
And then she, like, pegs every single one of them, like, Mr. Alpha, Mrs. Alpha, a buddy cop.
Yeah. So it's a cute little moment. I imagine we'll see Ramsey again next movie.
Probably.
So
her and Tej immediately start bonding.
They're kind of a thing, right?
Yeah.
So I have written here, Roman has this whole thing about Ramsey because he's confused by hot hackers being hot. So we go to Abu Dhabi, and Ramsey checks out with this friend of hers, who I believe is a billionaire. I think everybody's a billionaire here.
Yeah, I guess.
And Ramsey's like, all right, remember that information I sent you? I'd like it back. And he goes, well, I took that information and I sold it. I have millions now. And she goes, okay, that's not what I asked. Didn't ask you to sell it, asked you to keep it safe. Where is it? And he goes, well, good news is it's safe. Bad news is it's really safe. Which is an awesome phrase.
Meanwhile, Tej and Roman in the back are playing rock, paper, scissors on who gets to hit on Ramsey.
Mm-hmm. So, here's where this is going. It was sold off to a big bad billionaire. It is in his vault, which is kind of like attached to his car for some reason. Because that's where you keep all your safe things. What we're going to do is we're going to break into his billionaire party. We have an invitation thanks to this guy. And we're going to pull ourselves off a little bit of a heist.
Yeah.
So everybody gets all like dressed up fancy and slick. Letty and Dom have a moment where they're in the elevator and just this kind of like being all fancy and together kind of triggers some memories for her. We don't know of what, but eventually we will find out. So there's that kind of nice little moment.
Why does he have a car on the 100th floor of a Skylar building? He's a billionaire. He does what he wants.
So we are in what I believe is the tallest building in the world.
Is that the one with the thing on the top?
Yeah.
With the infinity pools or whatever?
Yeah. So there's the building. There's like 3 of them, 4 of them kind of close together. That's going to be important for later. So it's very nice. It's a very picturesque place. Like, this movie is beautiful.
It is.
These
It
locations,
really is.
oh my lord.
So nice.
So the idea is to break into this place, this billionaire's safe.
Take the God's Eye.
Take the information for the God's Eye. Everything has to be done at the same time, because if it's broken up a little bit, somebody could get found out. So there's the billionaire, and he's got security all over the room. The leader of the security team is Ronda Rousey. It's not, like, supposed to be... It's played by Ronda Rousey.
Yeah.
She has a name, but again, like Tony Jaa, I'm not going to use it. It's Ronda Rousey.
Which she kind of looks out of place, because here you have this small army
Everybody's
of
Arab
women.
And then Ronda.
And then you have Ronda. This,
whiter than snow.
This blonde hair, blue-eyed, big as a brick house woman.
What did Schmidt say? She is honky as hell. So...
She doesn't fit. She doesn't fit.
Not even a little bit.
You know who would have fit? Gal Gadot.
Oh, that was a switch. So Tej and Ramsey are going to hack into the place and unlock everything. Letty is going to do the legwork for them. Mm-hmm. They need a certain thing to hack into some wires to be able to fix everything. Roman's job is to create a distraction, and Dom and Brian are going to do the actual stealing. So Roman's idea of a distraction is to take the microphone and make a complete jackass of himself. Starts talking about it's somebody's birthday. He interrupts the DJ. It's a whole thing.
It's pretty funny, though.
Yeah, it is pretty funny. Because the guy, Tyrese Gibson, is very quick on his feet. Dom and Brian's job, get into the vault and go into the car where the thumb drive is held. It is underneath the car for some reason.
Or it's...
like, kind of caught up in the work of the car.
It's somewhere between the stick drive thing and the bottom of the car.
Yeah. So the best way to get into it is from the bottom. So Brian goes under it, and Dom's job is to lift up the car with his bare hands.
Oh, boy.
Like a jack. Like, he lifts up the car by himself and holds it for several minutes.
Because men.
And Brian's like, okay, I'm going in. And he goes in for a little bit, and he pops out, and he goes, you got this, right? And he goes, just go! So while Letty is doing that kind of work, she's trying to walk out. She has to knock out one of the guards so she can get in. Ronda Rousey and co. smell interlopers. So, like, they go where Letty is, and they find out the knocked out guard. And they look to Letty, and Letty looks at them and goes, would you believe I knocked him out with my charm? No, turns out. So 3 guards swarm her, and she has her own little fight scene. Which is nice to see Michelle Rodriguez get to do something.
That's true. And then she fights Ronda Rousey.
Then she has a fight with Ronda Rousey.
Okay, so this is the part where my brain started glitching. Because when did this girl whose entire gimmick was she drives cars from... Where was the original movie? L.A.?
Los Angeles.
From L.A. learn how to fight like a Navy SEAL.
Some of this stuff you gotta just kind of forego. So while this is going on, the alarm goes off. Mm-hmm. So they only have a little bit of time left. Tej and Ramsey get kicked out of the hacking. Mm-hmm. So it's all up to Dom and Brian. They don't have enough time, so they're just going to take the car. So while this happens, Letty is fighting Ronda Rousey, which is a very good fight scene.
Yes.
But I did notice something. First of all, Ronda Rousey has 2 lines.
Yeah.
Both of which are terribly delivered. They are like actions. So like actually when I said she goes, would you believe I knocked him out with my charm? It turns to Ronda Rousey and she goes, you're not that charming, bitch. And it's just so like, aw. And I don't mean to patronize Ronda Rousey because she could kick my ass so many different ways.
That's true, assuming that she hadn't had all her talent stolen by a magic basketball.
Yeah, right? So like multiple time UFC champion, and not to mention had one of the greatest rookie years in professional wrestling I've ever seen.
True.
I don't mean to, but she's got a weird, like, when she tries to look angry, she just looks like pouty. But then she beats your ass.
Yeah.
So when she's trying to look tough, like in a movie, especially like this,
But when she actually is tough, like in a fight, you back the hell up.
Oh yeah, I got nothing. Which is weird, 'cause she's a very good shit talker.
So, what even happened here?
I don't know. So they have themselves a fight, and we find the most unrealistic part of this movie, which is it looks like Ronda Rousey has good stand-up. Oh! Oh no! Oh, she's gonna beat my ass.
Would you not piss off the most dangerous woman in the world, please?
I'm very sorry.
At least before I take out an insurance policy.
Yeah, let's do that. I'll hold this episode back a little bit. But they do have like this kind of mixed martial arts kind of fight scene. They do a lot of stuff like ground and pound on the ground and pound. At one point, Letty has a knife and just like stabs it into Ronda's thigh. Like they beat the shit out of each other. So they spill out into the main floor. They actually fall up over a banister and into the DJ table.
Tej is like, oh shit!
It's raining women. So in the vault, I was wondering like, how are you gonna get the car out of the vault if it's locked down? Easy. We drive through the wall. Makes it a shitty vault, but whatever.
Yeah, that's true. But I guess if you're already in the vault, they don't. They figure you're already here.
Yeah. So we drive through the vault wall, and then through all this like chaos, the elevator dings, and a man walks out, and it's Deckard Shaw. Would you fucking leave us alone?
Why are you here? Why are you stalking us?
I kind of like this part of this, like his character. He's basically the Terminator.
Yeah.
Like as you're going through, like, okay, let's get to the plot. Ah, fuck, it's Deckard Shaw.
Like the Reaper in Persona, like, oh, have to do something here. Nope, we're out.
Nope, I'm here now. So, okay. This, my friends, is where things get dumb. Okay. He starts shooting at a couple of guys. He sees Dom and Brian in the car. He starts shooting at Dom and Brian. So we have this little thing where Dom does a parking brake skid. He basically drifts around in a circle, circling Shaw. As Shaw tries to shoot them, and he doesn't for some reason.
Yeah.
They realize we're screwed. There's no way out. We can't get this car into an elevator. So Dom, much like he did before, points the car towards the window. To which Brian says, Dom, cars can't fly. Dom, cars can't fly. Dom, cars can't fly. Dom hits the gas and launches out of the window hundreds of stories in the sky. Remember when I said there were 3 buildings and it was important for later? It's now important. Because he doesn't parachute, he doesn't hit anything. He drives from the building into the window of another building.
Of the middle building.
Of the middle building. And kind of like drives around here. He kind of, I forget, it was like a party of some sort.
No, the first middle building was under construction, and the last building was a showing of a bunch of Ming Dynasty.
Right. Terracotta statues for some reason. Okay, so yeah.
Which I just think was terrible. How dare you disrespect our culture like this?
He goes through the thing. He drives around, and even like Shaw's looking out and going like, you gotta give him props. He drives around, and they're like, we're still stuck. And Brian, at this point, is just like, this is my life now. I have no agency in my life.
He decides, like, well, this car is boned, so I'm going to take the chip out the old-fashioned way, and starts punching the driver.
Yeah, that's what he's doing. He's not trying to figure it. He's just breaking it until he can see the chip, which eventually he does. So to get out, Dom points to the window again, drives out of the second building into the third building, which for no reason at all is filled with a bunch of terracotta statues, just for us to break.
Jerks.
And they just smash through statues and furniture and building chunks.
And rich people shit.
Once Brian gets the chip out, he shows Dom, and they're like, okay. And they bail out of the car as the car eventually skids out of the door, out of another window, crashing to the ground below, killing dozens, I would have to imagine.
Well, no one was outside.
Yeah, but still.
What I think was funny was while the car, a flaming hunk of metal was falling from the sky, you see this nice family having dinner, and you just see it falling through the sky.
Yeah.
And, like, one of the father figures looks out the window like, what the?
Did I just... Nah. So as they kind of rest, Dom and Brian look at each other, and Dom goes, "You still miss this?" He talks about how Brian misses the bullets. Mm-hmm. And so yeah, he's on the ground. He goes, "You still miss the bullets, huh?" So they have the information, and they give it to Mr. Nobody. And Mr. Nobody's like, "Great, this is what I needed. You have Ramsey, you have the information, we're all done here. You have my entire military force. You also have the ability to use the God's Eye to find Deckard Shaw. Mm-hmm. Do your thing." And they find him. They find him in an out-of-the-way, empty factory kind of place.
Yeah, it was like an old oil factory or whatever the heck, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Dom and Co. Really, it's just Dom and Brian. Dom, Brian, Mr. Nobody, and an army show up to this place. And there's Deckard Shaw just eating dinner.
Yeah.
Just kind of chilling out. And he goes, "Really? This is all it's going to take me down? 12 people? Because I thought I earned a little bit more respect than that." To which Dom is just like, "Oh, God, murder." And so he goes, here's the thing. You know, you ever hear the phrase, "The enemy of my enemy is my friend"? And Dom goes, "I ain't got friends. I got family." And Deckard's just like, "Yeah? Well, I got a lot of friends." He hits a button and the wall explodes. And in comes another army. And it's Jaconde's guys.
Anything.
And so the two bad guys have teamed up. And I think it's funny that he goes, "You ever hear the phrase, you know, you got the enemy of my enemy is my friend?" He goes, "I don't got friends, I got family." And which Deckard does not say, "That is not what I was talking about." No. So we got ourselves a shootout because it's the good guys versus the bad guys, and all the bad guys work together and all the good guys work together. At one point, Mr. Nobody puts on some fancy glasses. They're like reverse sunglasses, and that you can see like the night vision. And it just starts like doming motherfuckers. Kurt Russell just walks out into the open room and just like bam, 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 bam. He sees a guy up on the thing, and he looks to Dom and he winks, and he gets shot. I thought they shot him in the head.
Yeah.
Because like his head goes backwards and then he falls on the ground, and I was like, I guess we just killed. Well, we could, because why would he wink? Anyway, Kurt Russell's over there.
Bleeding to death.
And like he did before, Deckard throws out a grenade and everything blows up and we skid out of the way. And through the hustle and bustle, we kill the guy holding the God's Eye.
Because we brought it for some reason.
And Jaconde's men picks it up and he goes, we got it. Great, way to go, idiots.
Why did we just hand the God's Eye to the dude?
Yeah.
Guys.
So.
We just used it to find him. Why would you just throw it away like that?
Yeah. So we get back to the thing and they're just like, okay, bad news. We lost the God's Eye. And, Mr. Nobody, he was shot in the chest, but he was wearing a bulletproof vest, but he's still kind of like messed up. So they're just like, okay, we're going to get you to a hospital. He goes, "No, I don't need a hospital. I got SOCOM helicopters coming to get me right now. Are you guys stupid? Just pull over and drop me off." And so that they do, and then just like, "We're going to get him for you." And he goes, "Just like, I got my thing. Just make sure you get the God's Eye back. Because if we lose the God's Eye, we're doomed."
And try my beer.
Yeah, and he's got to think about beer. Belgian something or other?
Beer?
Belgian ale? I don't know.
Whatever.
It's weird.
Point is, we never see him again.
Yeah, we never see him again. He gets airlifted to medical help. So they all gather, and they're just like, okay, they are chasing us. They know exactly where we are. We are currently in Abu Dhabi. Mm-hmm. That's their turf. So let's bring them to ours. So they go back to Los Angeles, where they put hundreds of thousands in danger.
I was about to say, you guys could have fought in the fucking sand again, and no one would get hurt. Instead, you took it to the streets of LA, one of the most populated cities in all the world.
Yep. So here's the plan, and it's a good one.
Oh, boy.
Dom is going to fight Deckard one-on-one, while Letty, Brian, Tej, and Roman are going to protect Ramsey from Jakande. The idea is they're going to just make her switch from car to car to disorient the God's Eye. Because every time like they move, they do a little kerfuffle, and they mess up the tracker.
Because Jakande realized that as long as Ramsey's still out there, she could still take the God's Eye back no matter where she is.
Yes.
So he's like, well, time to kill her.
So Brian calls Mia and says, listen, if you don't hear from me in 24 hours, you need to leave and take Jack to safety. It hasn't gone well. And Mia refuses, because they're a family and that's not how this is going to work, and you're going to come back anyway. You have to, because I'm pregnant. She tells Brian she's pregnant with another kid, with a daughter. He goes, so now you have to come back. And Brian says, you know the best decision I ever made was walking into that restaurant and seeing you, and buying that sandwich. And she goes, that sandwich was so bad. He goes, I know, I ate a lot of them. So it was a nice little moment. And he stops and he goes, okay, I'll see you. And she goes, you can't leave it at that because it sounds like you're saying goodbye. She goes, say something else. She goes, give Jack a kiss for me. Basically promising him, making him promise that he'll come back. So, their plan was to switch around Ramsey into different cars. Because being chased by a car, you can shake that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But Jakande isn't in a car. Jakande is in a stealth helicopter.
Hey,
As you do.
As you do.
So they split up into 3 different directions. Brian, Tej and Roman, and Letty. Brian has Ramsey first, so they get chased by them. The helicopter can't really get in and out of these places, so they send a Predator drone.
Straight up Predator drone.
And this is what we fight for most of the day.
There is a Predator drone, and this is a terrorist attack at this point.
Yeah.
Like, some international shit's going down. There is a straight-up drone throwing missiles around. Mm-hmm. How have we not called literally every government agency?
At some point, Brian sees this. He's getting shot at. So he takes, like, a truck hauling pipes, knocks it sideways, and uses it as a shield.
Which was pretty good.
So all of this goes down while Toretto and Shaw are chasing after each other. Mm-hmm. And they kind of go up a parking structure. Very reminiscent of Tokyo Drift.
That's true, it is.
Meanwhile, Ramsey, they figure out how they're tracking them. Mm-hmm. So they do their first big switch over. As a Predator missile is flying towards them. We basically smack into Tej and Roman's car and transfer Ramsey while it's still moving.
She, like, jumps out of one car. Like, literally just bails out and bails into another one.
And then while the drone is coming, Brian dives out of his car, and his car blows up. This basic thing happens twice.
Meanwhile, have we blown up that tower thing yet? Or is
That's after this.
Okay.
So while this is going on, Ramsey is hacking into the God's Eye, because she created it, she knows how, trying to stop it from finding her. So while all this is going on, outside of a certain hospital window, you see so much fire. Like, fire and explosions, the TV turns on, and it's just like, everything's doomed! And there sits Luke Hobbs looking at the TV and going, my time is now. He stands up, and his daughter's sitting there, and he goes, okay, honey, Daddy's got to go to work. And he's got a cast around his arm, and he just flexes out of it.
Yeah, he straight up hulks out of that thing. Now, I've never had a cast, but isn't there, like, metal and junk in those things? Nope. Is it just straight plaster?
Yeah, it's basically just plaster. It's possible, but, like, it's hard, and...
Why would you?
Yeah. So Toretto and Shaw finally meet one-on-one on top of the roof of the parking structure. And Dom's got a shotgun, and Shaw doesn't. And Dom goes, "What? Did you think this was going to be a street fight? Because you're right." And he does, and he puts the shotgun back, and he takes out just like some metal poles. Mm-hmm. And Shaw's just like, "I can do that, and I got metal sticks too." And they have this like Mortal Kombat moment where Shaw runs up, jumps in the air, and it's slow motion, and they just collide with their weapons.
Yeah, so they're playing Mortal Kombat on the roof.
And they go and do this like neat little fight scene. Meanwhile, Ramsey is with Tej and Roman. And the bad guys realize what they're doing in the stealth helicopter. Mm-hmm. So instead of shooting them, they shoot out a Wi-Fi tower, making it harder for them to hack into the thing. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. They shoot at them, so they get Ramsey out, put it into Letty's car, and then that car Tej and Roman's car blows up. They get out safely, of course. And then away Letty drives. And Ramsey's like, "Okay, so if this doesn't work, who's going to rescue us?" And Letty goes, "Rescue us? Girl, we're it." Brian is now... I wasn't really clear on what Brian is doing. He's looking for something.
I'm not 1,000% sure, because I was just like, Tej has... Oh, he was looking for... Because we have to get the Wi-Fi back online. He was looking for the relay box.
Right.
And so apparently Tej has either hotwired his cell phone or his data plan is so good it can power a city. Because he's looking for the relay box and Tej is telling him where it is.
Okay. So Brian is kind of moving commando-like. Mm-hmm. And he gets to this long hallway and he's like, "Okay, it's over there. I got to get to it." And then, like, the SWAT team comes through the windows, and he's just like, fuck.
Yeah, have you ever played a video game where you see an enormously long hallway and you went, "Oh, there's going to be a fight scene in this hallway"?
This is where I have a fight. And lo and behold, in comes, flanked by your one and only Tony Jaa.
"Hey, buddy!"
So Brian just fights his way through 6 separate guys.
Yeah, it was great.
And eventually he has himself a fight with Tony Jaa. Mm-hmm. And at one point, like, this fight scene is insane. It's basically a John Woo fight scene.
Yeah.
Because at one point, like, Brian's got his gun and he sees, like, this little wheelie cart. Mm-hmm. And he jumps on it and, like, wheels forward and, like, starts shooting at guys.
And it's funny, but great.
Yeah. So he's fighting with Tony Jaa. They have this, like, sheet of metal that somehow they fall onto. Mm-hmm. And as it's going down the stairs, they're doing like a ground and pound like fight scene. Like they're not holding on or anything. They're still like beating the fuck out of each other, flipping over onto the metal side. And so they get to the thing, and then there's this big like elevator shaft. So Brian sees this little cord spool kind of thing, and he kind of surreptitiously wraps it around Tony Jaa's body as they're fighting, and eventually he kicks it off of the elevator shaft. And so there's this moment where Tony looks at that, and he sees him connected, and he goes, "Ah," and he gets pulled down and into the elevator shaft, killing him. And Brian looks at him go, and he goes, "Too slow."
What I don't get is Tony Jaa just stood there watching the cord being pulled down the elevator shaft like a goober.
Yeah, he didn't try to help it at all.
In the time that he took to look at the thing, it was just a carabiner. He could have just undid it.
Yeah. So while all this is going down, Toretto and Shaw are still having their fight up there.
Yeah, they're still whacking sticks.
Letty and Ramsey are driving away, but they're no match for this Predator drone. So they go through a tunnel and then come out the other side, and they get locked on, and they're just like, "This is it, we're screwed." So the Predator drone comes out of the tunnel, and then is immediately hit by a flying ambulance.
This is true.
That ramped off of the bridge, the tunnel bridge, and collided into it, destroying the Predator drone and also the ambulance. And who walks out of that ambulance but the goddamn Rock?
Play the music.
Dwayne Johnson, Luke Hobbs, gets out of the car and he grabs a minigun. I don't know if the minigun was a part of the Predator drone.
It was in the Predator drone, because otherwise it was in the ambulance, and I have questions.
So he picks up the minigun and he's like, "You girls okay?" And he goes, "Yeah. Did you bring the cavalry?" And he goes, "Cavalry? Woman, I am the cavalry."
He double taps the Predator drone, so they lose it entirely.
Yeah. There's not much to talk about with the Shaw Toretto fight. It's just a fight. It's a very cool fight.
Yeah.
But at one point, Dom does hit Shaw with a German suplex, straight up, pointed the toes and everything. Northern Lights. It was sweet. So Jakande eventually finds Dom and Shaw fighting on top of the parking structure, and so they fire a rocket trying to take out Dom, but it hits the floor, cracking it kind of around. And Dom looks, and it's the cracks are kind of like surrounding Shaw. And Dom says the stupidest line so far, I think. And he goes, "That's the thing about street fights. The street always wins." And he stomps on the ground, and his mighty Vin Diesel legs cause such a shockwave that it gives way to the rubble like below them. And Shaw falls through the ceiling, lands on the ground, and just like rocks fall and everybody dies.
It reminds me of that time in Avatar when Kyoshi straight up killed a man by curb stomping the earth and dropping him into the ocean.
I was gonna say it's some earthbending shit.
He straight up became Kyoshi the Earthbender. I knew we shouldn't talk to Kyoshi.
So he does that, and like he's still getting aimed at by the helicopter. And just when things are looking their absolute worst, with a missile trained onto Dom, about to take him out completely, who shows up out of nowhere but a man with a minigun shooting at the helicopter? And that minigun was driven by the goddamn Rock. Anybody else feeling deja vu? So Hobbs is firing at the helicopter, and they're just like, what the fuck? So Dom is like, I feel like I'm taking crazy pills talking about this movie. There's so much shit. I'm exhausted. So Dom gets into his car, and he's like, I'm out of ideas. I'm gonna launch my car at the helicopter.
And then when I was watching this, I was like, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. I'm not even 1,000% sure how he did it. Like,
in the fallen rubble,
yeah,
he uses it as a ramp.
Okay, but it should not have launched him 2 miles into the air.
No, but you know what? We just saw him drive from a building to a building.
I guess it had NOS. I guess.
Yeah, that was our first NOS hit in a while, because it's his Charger, right? It's a Dom car, so he hits the NOS, he hits the ramp, and he barely clips the helicopter. I thought he was just going to throw a helicopter at it. No, he barely clips it, and he falls, like crashes, tumbling to the ground. It's a violent crash.
Because I guess Dom's only exit plan when it comes to any plan is
drive off of stuff.
Drive off of it. Just find a cliff and drive off of it.
Yeah. So off he goes. Woo! And he just tumbles down and out. And everybody's just like, oh, fuck, Dominic is dead. And the bad guy still survives. Mm-hmm. And even the bad guy is like, he's dead and I'm still alive. Ha! What a weird day. And he looks out and he sees a bag of grenades hanging off his helicopter.
Yep.
Dom didn't miss. He just wasn't aiming for the whole helicopter. He kind of hung a thing of grenades onto the skid.
Oh boy.
And so Luke Hobbs sees this and he takes this like magnum pistol from his waistband, shoots at it, blows it up, and the helicopter dies.
Jesus Christ.
Okay. So they rush to Dom, and Dom is unconscious, and he's not breathing, and he's unresponsive, and he's not looking so great.
I mean, he did just drive off a building.
Yeah. It's not like the last movie where he walked out of fire. He's screwed up here. So he runs up, and Brian starts doing CPR, trying to command Letty to do the breathing part. But she's not getting it. I don't know if she's in shock or what. But Brian's freaking out, like he's doing the chest compressions. And he's like, keep his head up, do this. And he's running through the thing. And she goes, no, I have this. Like, let me do something. And Brian's like, what the fuck do you mean, let me do something? I'm trying to save the man's life. She goes, no, get out of the way. And Brian's just like, he's dead. All right, Letty just killed Dom.
Well, you can't do CPR about a broken spine, so...
That is true. So Letty, like, cradles Dom's head. And she's like, I remember everything. I remember all of the good times we spent. And most of all, I remember our wedding night. Dom and Letty got married in secret in the Dominican Republic.
What?
Yeah. Because they actually make fun of him for never getting married earlier on in the film. Dom and Letty did get married in secret. A very private wedding, just the two of them, a priest, and like in this little church.
And she's wearing a white dress, and it's all very nice, but why not invite the fam there, Dominic?
Yeah. So while this is going on, instead of a ring, they didn't have a ring. They had that cross necklace. So Dom takes it off and gives it to Letty, and that's their ring. And so Dom, she tells him all this, like, I remember everything. I remember all the good times we had. And we said in our wedding vows that, like, where you go, I go. What you do, I do. When you die, if you die before me, I will die right after. And he goes, I said that, and I meant it. And I'm not ready to die. So you gotta get up. Because this ain't happening like that. And so Dom doesn't have a kind of moment. He just kind of like mumbles and he goes, what took you so long? Or like, it's about time.
So I guess Dom was faking it.
Yeah, right? He was just kind of like listening. Listening for the fun
Or
of it.
he was in Superman hero sleep.
Yeah.
What was that thing that they called when Superman died? Crypto sleep?
Crypto sleep? I don't know. And so, like, Letty kind of cradles him. Everybody's relieved. And she goes, why didn't you tell me we got married? That's the thing that knocked me back. And he says, because you can't tell somebody to love you. And, like, you had to figure that out why you loved me in the first place. I can't convince you to, again. Which is, an honest little moment.
Yeah, but also, that's pretty big information there, Dom!
Yeah. So Letty's, all of Letty's memories are back. Meanwhile, at a CIA black site, the detention center, Hobbs is taking Shaw to his new fancy cell. It is flanked by so many guns, like automatic turrets. It is a big, heavy door. He's got a toilet and he's got a bed, and the bed doesn't even have cushions on it.
It's just a bench, really.
Yeah. And he's like, all these guns, you think that's going to keep me? And he goes, they're not for you, they're for me, to stop me from killing you. And Dom, like, he's just sitting there, and he's just like, you understand this isn't going to keep me in. And he just, like, kind of laughs, and he goes, well, when you do get out, my fist and a body bag are waiting for you.
So start digging.
Yeah. Once you dig out of 38 feet of concrete or something like that. So Deckard Shaw is alive. I do not know about Owen Shaw because that's never talked about again.
Yeah.
But he is locked up for good.
In a giant cement hole.
Yeah. I bet we'll never see him again. Meanwhile, on a beach somewhere, Brian plays with his son and Mia as the rest of the crew relax and watch him go. And they all come to the realization that Brian really is done. He's far too much of a family man now. He's never going back to the way things were. He has a home and he has a place where he finally belongs. Dom gets up and goes to walk away. Because they all kind of realize this is the last time we're going to see him. And Ramsey goes, why aren't you going to say goodbye? And Dom says, no, because it's never goodbye. Pan to a long and lonely road as Dominic is driving his Charger down a picturesque scenario. He comes to a four-way cross, and a driver pulls up to him, beside him as he stopped. Brian O'Connor stares from his driver's seat to Dominic and says, hey, you thought you could really leave without saying goodbye? And they drive off together one more time, and we get a montage of Brian O'Connor's greatest moments of the entire series. As, and I fully believe this, as Vin Diesel narrates. I used to say I live my life a quarter mile at a time. And I think that's why we were brothers. Because you did too. No matter where you are, whether it's a quarter mile away or halfway across the world, the most important thing in this life will always be the people in this room, right here, right now. Salut, mi familia. You will always be with me, and you will always be my brother. They drive side by side for one last time, and eventually the road forks. As Dom takes the right path and Brian takes the left, happily driving his car towards the sunset over the picturesque road. Brian finally gets what he has always wanted and has always deserved. A family and a home and a quiet, picturesque life. As everything fades to white and the words "For Paul" appear on the screen. Brian is happy. Curtain down. And that is Paul Walker's final film. As the movie ends, it plays the song "See You Again" from Wiz Khalifa and Charlie Puth, which is a very poignant. It must have been written for Paul Walker and for this particular scene, because it really fits, and it's a very pretty song. And I don't like Charlie Puth or Wiz Khalifa, so but it's one of those things that it hits at the right time. And like I said at the beginning, I like what they did. They gave Brian a happy ending. He has a family. He has a life. Mm-hmm. He basically gets to live on in a way that Paul Walker didn't. Yeah. So it's a very well done finale. And it's a very well done movie. Like I said, this is by far, I think, my favorite of the septology that we have now hit. I think, like I said, it's a skosh too long, but not as bad as 5 or 6. And I think the climax wasn't as interesting as what came before it.
That's true.
The scene driving the car between the 3 buildings, excuse me. It was such like an amazing showstopper, and driving through the streets of LA with a drone chasing it, it's okay. The Rock hitting it with an ambulance.
Hilarious.
That was amazing.
Yeah.
Let's do that again.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think if maybe the stakes had been switched a little bit, we could have ramped up to a climax that was kind of befitting what came before it. Mm-hmm. But it's not a huge issue overall. I'm gonna give it an 8.5.
Really?
I am. I really like this movie. I was cool with it from beginning to end. Mm-hmm. What about you?
I'm gonna give it a 7.
A 7, really? Why?
1, no one got to wield anything like it was a goddamn chain and ball.
Oh, no, not yet, no.
2, it made me cry.
That ending hits hard.
It does. No, but it's a very good movie.
Yeah. Especially when you consider where we came from.
Yeah.
That's the whole reason I wanted to do the series, like this series like this. Mm-hmm. Is because I like watching things evolve over a long period of time. And something like Fast and the Furious, which started out as a really kind of, almost, like, in comparison, almost lame film.
I mean, we were stealing DVD players, and I guess Dom was selling them
to
pay for car parts. Now that I think about it, just right this moment, like, what even is the premise of this movie? Like, how is Dom doing this? And why didn't he go to jail?
Well, he did almost.
Oh my god.
But yeah, so it's weird to see it come to this, which doesn't super surprise me. Mm-hmm. But like I said, I really liked it. So if you're giving it a 7, I'm giving it an 8.5. Mm-hmm. That brings us to 7.75.
Something like that, yes.
Something like that, which is, I believe, is still the highest rating we've given a movie yet. Mm-hmm. Here in the Fast and the Furious. But yeah, so it was a. This is so far the peak of the franchise, and like I said, Paul Walker went out on. I think it's his best performance. He didn't have like a lot to work with, but like I said, it had the emotional core that a lot of the movies lacked.
It's true.
I think everybody did really well.
Everyone got to be here. Everyone, it was very sad, and it was fun, and it was. I really thought Dom was gonna nail that helicopter with that car.
It's everything you want a summer blockbuster to be.
Yeah, it's dumb and it's loud, but it's fun, guys.
Yeah. So that's.
Can we just round this up to a neat 8? Like, what score do I have to give it a neat
7.25?
Is that okay?
You can do whatever you want.
I just want.
I was gonna say this rating scale is completely fucking arbitrary.
I know. I just want the final score to be rounded off to
be an 8.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll call it an 8 just for the hell of it. But yeah, I'm quite enamored with this one. And I have no idea where we go from here.
Well, now that we've kicked out of everything.
Yeah.
The Rock is straight up hulked out of a cast for a broken arm that he got like 3 days ago.
Mm-hmm.
There was a little girl for no reason.
Yeah.
Han dies. I swear to God, if the next movie opens with "and then Han died."
Yeah, right? Look, he's dead again.
Guys, I know. Stop telling me.
Yeah, so I think. I don't know what I think. But.
I mean, it's beautiful. It's well done. I mean, the writing is a little bit suspect.
Yeah, it's.
Where's the cavalry? Lady, I am the cavalry.
It's one of those things that, like, you know what you're getting into.
But also, they had a Mortal Kombat fight on the roof with just random scrap metal.
Which was cool, right?
Like, Shaw had random scrap metal, and I think Vin Diesel just had giant wrenches.
Yeah.
Like, what is happening right now? And then he earthbended him to death. I don't know. I don't even know, guys.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's where we're at. We will take care of the eighth film in the franchise next week, and then after that we do Hobbs and Shaw.
I like that movie.
And then we're gonna be done. We're gonna be done with this.
9 comes out.
Yeah, so like we said, if 9 comes out on VOD or something like that, we will absolutely give it a shot. If it comes out to theater only, we won't. Because
there's a pandemic on, guys.
Yeah, as much as I have grown to enjoy this series, not enough to go to a theater right now.
Yeah, they don't sterilize those chairs pre-pandemic. What gives us any indication they will do it during or post the pandemic?
Yeah. So we'll see what happens there, and if we do, we'll do a special episode. Of course, we will. And then we'll move on to another series. So if you have a series that you would like to see us tackle,
yes,
a series is anything that is 3 movies or more. It has to be at least a trilogy.
Yeah.
Or I mean, I can maybe make something for a sequel if the sequel's really bad, or if the sequel just like completely fucks itself. I
mean, there's a whole host of Disney sequels that are just terrible.
I know, but I'm talking about like the Brave Little Toaster. Once he was a toaster, now he's going to Mars. You know what I mean? Something completely nuts. But a good rule of thumb is it has to be 3 movies or longer.
That's true. And it has to go insane. Like, guys, we don't want a really good 3 trilogy. Then you're just gonna hear us praising good movies. Like
that might be good. Something like Lord of the Rings. You know,
I've never had the patience to watch all the Lord of the Rings. Did I?
Well, you've seen the first 2. I've seen them all.
Yes. I saw The Hobbit. Does that count?
No.
Okay.
We could do The Hobbit.
Oh, God.
The Hobbit is 3 movies.
I saw The Hobbit in theater, and I didn't understand. Like, I saw The Hobbit before I saw any other Lord of the Rings movie.
Sorry to hear that.
Because I have a friend that's really into Lord of the Rings, and she was like, please come see this with me. And I'm like, okay, whatever. Like, Lord of the Rings is a big thing that I've never seen, but whatever. It was through no malice. I'm just lazy.
Yeah.
And I saw that. I'm like, what's the big goddamn deal, guys?
And then I showed you the other ones, and that made more sense.
That made more sense. There are fight scenes. It's great. There's
Yeah.
a ring that makes you go insane. Great.
I was thinking, like, maybe, like, movies that are clearly one story cut into three. Not so much. I'm talking about movies that, like, this shouldn't have been a sequel.
They're
Let's go.
like Saw went to the moon. Like,
Yeah, Saw is a good one. We're probably going to do that one for October.
yeah. So, guys, there's this term that I like to use, like, called "When Do We Go to Space?" which is basically based on the, what was it, Jason
Voorhees.
Voorhees, where we took a good movie and we murdered it so bad that we went to space at the end to try to salvage it. Because he did go to space at the end, right?
Yeah.
Has Fast and Furious gone to space?
We are close.
Yeah.
We're very close.
Have we taken Dom Toretto to steal a spaceship? I feel like that's the 10th movie. I feel like we're going to go race cars in space. Him and a bunch of Teslas and stuff.
Yeah, right? I am all for that.
Roman screaming in outer space. It's great.
But yeah, so that's where we're going to go after this. But unless we have anything else, any more business?
No.
Excellent. If you want to continue this conversation wherever it is we are on the big wide open world wide web, world web wide world, I am on Twitter at Empty Square, EMPTYSQUARE, cutes.
I'm at Aquadia_.
If you are watching this on YouTube and you're like, gosh, I sure would like this if it was on some sort of other app for no reason, and you want to keep us in your pocket, we are on Spotify. You can look up Binging with Badness on Spotify. We're the one with the little blue, and it's a gradient. It was cheap, and I'm not very good at graphic design. I'm trying. So you can check us out on Spotify, if and you're so inclined. And if you're really inclined, if you like throwing money at people, you can absolutely do that as well. You can go to patreon.com/emptysquare. That's EMPTYSQUARE. And you can donate any amount of money and you get cool stuff out of it.
For like $1, you get like a bunch of stuff. You get like early access. You get like
Behind the scenes stuff.
It's like 20 things, guys. 20 things for $1.
You also get, sometimes we do live streams and you're the only people to know.
Yeah.
So we do that. We've done less live streams since the new year.
Well,
because we have less movies to do.
Yeah. There's a drought coming on the movie front.
Yeah.
And also we were enraptured by WandaVision. Guys, go watch WandaVision.
We don't gotta tell you. So yeah, patreon.com/emptysquare. If we get to $3,000 a month, that's total, we will do a Hot Ones episode where I burn my little baby mouth. Going through the entire gauntlet. You guys can ask questions, and we'll have just a gay old time.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
Anything you want to ask? It'll be
anything.
Okay.
Anyway, should I watch the thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a good one.
This is real good.
I would get this on Blu-ray.
Yeah.
That's how much I like this movie. Which is high praise for me because I'm cheap as fuck. Anyway, guys, we will see you this time next week for The Fate of the Furious, F8.
I have to give it up for the title of this one.
That was pretty slick. I like it.
Like, Too Fast, Too Furious. That was leaning into it a